Well, you could flip the script all of a sudden in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix series, because after last week's heroics, Togo Husada has closed that gap to 3 points. It's the barest of margins, and today they go to the modern tracks. It's Mugello today, live on iRacing, brought to you from the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello everybody, I am Craig King. In the booth with me is Stephen Koenig, and he is with our directors, Daniel Costello, who is helping Christian deploy, who is controlling the cameras today. Now, Stephen, this is a track that wasn't used in F1 for a good 30 years, but it has a lot of history.
Well, that's it. From sports cars to two-wheeled action, it has housed some of the most prestigious racing, and even going and having some odd ones of Formula Libre of multiple cars, but from 1973 and only being utilized by modern cars in 2020.
Yeah, it's a fantastic track and the drivers love it. To find out more about it, let's go to the GSRC Track Guide, brought to you by the legendary Joe Peak.
Welcome to Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. Only an hour north of Florence and owned by motorsport royalty Ferrari, this is a popular Italian track. With a short layout consisting of 7 turns and the GP layout having 15, the full length runs about 3¼ miles, or 5¼ kilometers. It weaves through the Italian hills with pretty much nothing but long, sweeping corners. It makes for spectacular views for spectators and drivers, but difficulty in nailing overtakes. The main spot for that will be into the first corner of San Donato. From there, a climb up through a series of corners that switch back and forth eventually plunges down through Casanova and Savelli. This is where speeds pick up greatly, and the compression up through the first Arrabbiata brings you to the blind crest of the second. Things finally slow back down just a bit with 2 final hairpins at Corientaio and Buccini. Make sure you get the exit right on that last one. It's more than a kilometer run down the main straight. This track was built in 1973, but has seen continual improvements and has hosted the Italian Grand Prix for motorcycles for many decades. In recent times, it finally saw an official round of the Formula One Championship in 2020. With the virtual version now arriving on iRacing, fans from around the globe can experience this breathtaking romp around the Italian countryside.
Fantastic little track here, and you can see some of the sights and sounds around the track. Mugello, as we said, is only being used once in modern day Formula, but this is the track that a lot of drivers love, Stephen, and a lot of that comes down to this fantastic elevation changes.
And a little bit of technicality. It's all about those high speeds and also just getting the dives through the corners, ensuring that you have got a perfectly set up car. 15 corners to go and deal with it. First open on the 1974, where they broke ground on June 23rd. This 5.2 kilometer circuit does test drivers, known to two-wheeled action for some proper nose-to-tail late dives, and also saw some of the biggest accidents with our GT cars they're going to be battling out. But it's all about the single-seater. Sandoretto going to be turn 1, followed by Luca and into Poggio Secco. You got a short little straight to utilize a bit of the slipstream before you hard on to the anchors into the left hand of Motezzi, Borgo San Lonzo. Immediately, you start gunning for Casanova, Savelli, Alberta 1 and Alberta 2. That long right-hander can keep you rather tricky. Scapera is turn 10, followed by Pelgio, Coreto, and then you start gunning down to Blanche at the end. The sharp hairpin to turn it into a bit of a difficult time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get to that long straight. But of course, we've got to get to the championship standings. And I said it was close at the top. And there it is, just 3 points. And the key thing here is there is no Pauli Partanen today. It's a drop week for him. That's going to have some implications. But Togo Husada is so close. And if you think this is like the days of Mercedes with Rosberg and Hamilton, you would be correct. Look how at the rest of the field. Jack David Spickett, Philip Kuhnhart, Gunnar Friescher, Nick Thiessen, all battling for that final spot on the podium. I do always like to give that shout out to number 11. Gabriel Martinez is quite close to 11th there over Kjell Enhen Svensson. But there is 2 championships, well 3, but 2 for the drivers. And the F2 championship for those under 3,000 I rating is looking close there, Stephen.
Well, that's it. We got Aaron leading out the charge, but Connor Levy is very, very close. 19 points. Anything can happen. Ben Summers has been on a bit of a roll, followed by Luke Rusbeck. Then we got Kurt Clapper in 5th, Jana Lemon in 6th, Keith Herner in 7th, 8th is Jonas Semino, and he's hoping to really get up the running. Close little fight is going to be between Cristiano and Anu, who will be in 9th and 10th at the moment, and they will be battling along. Byron Long in 11th, though, is also 1 point away of being out of the top 10.
Well, everyone wants to be in that top 10, get their names lit up here on the iRacing page, and you cannot blame them. We also have the Team Championship. Join the Team Championship from those iRacing forums for the Lotus 79. You're signed or you ask for a team. And of course, as you can see, it's the classic teams that you would see back in the 80s and the 70s. Martini, Keith Herder, Aaron Blair currently leading the charge. Going up Friescher, shout out to him. He's missed 3 weeks. He's on his own for the Ferrari, and he is able to keep on going. And a man also on his own, the purple metallic TVR that Dylan Freckleton has. He's also there. It is so close to those top 3 teams. And again, we are so close to the end of the season. It is now squeaky bum time. And let's get into those standings, or those race information, because it is squeaky bum time, because look where we are right now. It is week 9 of 12. Second drop weeks will start to be impacted here for the drivers. But this is Mugello, and today they will be doing 26 laps around this track. It's an open setup. You make what you would like to drive, and the community provides some setups on the forums, on the Discords, and everywhere the community hangs out. They make setup to people, but you bring it, you crash it, you're done. There's no spare car today, so you've got to be safe around here. Drive through at 17 incident points, disqualification at 25. I got a feel, Stephen, I don't think we'll be seeing some drivers using those incident points. It's a nice high-speed flowing track.
Well, you keep an eye on turn 13 and 14, Bordetti 1 and 2. That's where mostly you pick up your off tracks, and we will see a couple of cars trying to take a little bit too much curve on the way through, carrying a lot of pace out there. So it's got to be a little bit of a cautious one. Don't think we're going to see the DQs, but I think we might get a bit close to that 17 number, where if we get side by side through a lot of these tight chicanes.
Yeah, be interesting if we go side by side. A lot of high speed sections here. Great for these ground effect cars. Qualifying is almost over. 2 minutes to go. And Oyi Zamamola is currently leading the way. But here is the man trying to take the lead in the championship. Togo Hisada. It is early in the day. He has been looking like Ono Sato in the Grand Sumo Championship at the moment. Undefeated in 3 races. He's looking to make it 4 from 4 after being the man who could not get a win. Finally gets it, and like London buses, they are on their way for him. He comes down the start-finish straight for the first of his 2 laps. He will cross that timing beam. It's a 34.5. He's got to find half a second. But when you've got Zamalola half a second faster than everyone else, everyone's trying to play catch-up.
Well, it's going to be an interesting for Togo-san to try and get that first place, but it is Neva who's out on a proper charge in the top 10, trying to really slide the car around, and you can see low downforce required on the circuit, sliding it out, really trusting that some of the aero is going to kick in, relying on mechanical grip, but it is straight line horsepower, comes across the line to try and beat that 35, and currently is able to do it with a 34.7 as he comes across. He's gotten quite happy about that, jumping into the top 5.
Jumping into the top 5, he'll be happy with that. Had a really good race yesterday in the Lotus 49 broadcast race on a Saturday afternoon. But this is the 79s. He switched up the machinery, and from no downforce to all the downforce. And now, what can Hisada do? What can he find as he comes through Pelagio down into Correntino at turn 12? The first of the double sweeping downhill corners. It's the right, it will be the left shortly. But Blonletti 1 and 2 here takes all the curb he can, using that 4-tire off track to his advantage. He's got to find a lot of time here. 0.4 of a second doesn't sound a lot, but trust me, half a second goes just like that. Comes out at the final corner through Pristine. He's going to run down to the line, take it as tight as he can to the start line. He's looking for a 34 flat. Is he going to get that 34 flat? He gets it by the barest of margins and 300th of a second ahead of Zamalola. What a qualifying time that is from the Japanese driver. And he will go to the top. And we'll just have a quick moment to go over those times for your grid today, with Toga Hisada taking charge at the top for the 3rd, 4th, 5th race in a row. Zamalola will be in P2. And Mikolaj Josiak will be third, with Nick Fisson in fourth. Jorge Neva will be fifth. Jack David Spickett will be sixth. Then it's Connor Levy in seventh. Timothy Reed will be eighth. Cal Enya Sensen will be ninth. And Philip Kuhnhardt will round out the first page in 10th.
I'll taking a look down to row 6. It's Gernot Fischer who will be on 11th. Tommy Killer will be racing in 12th. Tyler Lane in 13th. Dylan Fickleton in 14th. Daniel Glacis in 15th. 16th is Aaron J. Blay, along with Josh Bryan and Carlos Parenta. Barry West in 19th and Almino Ako in 20th of row 10.
We get to the final page, and Yanni Lindman will be 21st, with Mark Anthony Philbert in 22nd. Then it's Matthew Cockerham in 23rd, with Antonio Alvarez. Last at the time qualifies in 23rd. If you know the series, you know what I'm going to say next. Jason Clapper not setting a time once again. Ellis Spice will be the last car. 26 drivers out here today for 26 laps around Mugello, and I'd love to tell you the track temp is 26. It's not. It's 39 Celsius. It's 102 Fahrenheit. There is a lot of wind out there today. 20 kilometers an hour to from the south. That is going to be providing a lot of side wind for these drivers out there today. We're going to get ready very shortly. Barney will have the trigger on the button to put those lights to green as we wait for one more driver. There is that number 11 of Jason Clapper at the end. He likes doing this, the last to first. You cannot blame the man. It is a nice little bit of fun that he goes for. But we're getting ready. One driver is up. Everybody is now in. The lights are going green. The cars are revving up. 26 laps of Mugello goes now. And Hosada doesn't have to worry about a bad start this time because he hasn't got Parton to worry about. He gets a really good launch straight away. Nick Fisson also getting a very good start. In the background, you see a couple of drivers having some problems, but they can't start to fan out. 2 by 2 they go. Zamalola holds on to it. Fisson with a great launch, almost 3 wide in the background. They're going to now start to try and single file as they come out down Del Toro into Lucio and Poggio Secco.
Thyssen getting a much better start and remembering what happened last week as he keeps on the back of Zamola as much as possible, considering he's trying to maximize as many points as they can. Charging through a little bit of bottoming out as they battle through. Philip Kuhnhardt trying to keep it all together for the Ferrari team and just battling out to try and get into that top 10 with Fritzich just ahead of him.
Gernot Fischer having a really good start here and continuing on. Svensson has gone off the order. I wonder if Svensson's having another bit of hardware failure. He had it, well, not hardware failure, internet failure. He had that last week. So did Parton, and that might be a problem out there today. We'll wait and see as we watch on board. You know it's Dylan Freckleton. It's that metallic purple. You don't need to tell me who it is. You don't need to ask me who it is as he continues to push on up 1 place so far. 2 cars behind him, the number 16 car, Mark Anthony Fabult. What a start that is. 7 places made up, and we're halfway through the first lap as they still come through, far through those Brunelletti. And now, coming down to the final corner, this is where it starts to go. Get a good launch, get a launch to that first corner on the start-finish straight.
Gernot trying to keep into the slipstream as much as possible. Wants to try and pull the trigger as late as possible. Go for the inside line. Gear down into second to just try and get sorted out. But he is definitely getting held back. Zamola, who is fighting out in the top, is also trying to battle out. He's 18th in the championship. Getting first place here will launch him further up in the championship. Timothy Reed having a great start. Connor Levy stuck on the outside. Will try and pull himself back. Connor Levy in 9th place, a little bit unsteady on the exit, and that is a position gonna be losing out, unfortunately, to the number 10.
Yeah, losing a bit of the control there, saw a little bit of a wobble as he went over the curving. Interesting to see the drivers having to work on this track, on this cloud cover as well. They go from the darkness of the clouds covering the sun straight into sunlight halfway through the track. And that's going to really start to change their braking zones a little bit. Just pull them back a few meters. You've got to be careful. The lightning purple TBR, Dylan Freckleton, still battling Kelly Okuja and Aaron Blair, who's behind him. It's a nice little pack here, and this is the pack. Really all the way down from Connor Levy to Taylor Lane to Tommy, as we were talking about, Dylan and Aaron. And then you throw in Philbert, who's right behind. And it's all so tight out there for the moment. You start to see you cannot hurry here. You've just got to take it easy.
And for the TVR team, this is where they want to be. Start getting that climb all the way through. But Dylan really trying to get the hammer down. You can utilizing as much of the track as possible. Late apex through the final corner just to get into the sweep. He wants to try keep as much as possible into the slipstream, as Timothy Reed's doing at the moment, with Lyxon never just ahead of him. Looks to the outside. It's going to be a bit of a difficult one. Down the hill they go, gearing down into third, into second. Unfortunately, trying to come back for a sweep, but stuck in the wrong side. He's got the entrance for the next corner. Unfortunately, couldn't quite hold the apex. Had to relinquish it and now wait. But a bit of dirt getting kicked up on the circuit does make grip starting to fade away.
Yeah, starting to fade away a little bit. You just got to feel you need to take advantage on that long straight after the final corner. You've got a little bit of a kink to it as well. But I think that's what's causing a lot of issue for the driver. It's always happened. You want to try and take that inside, you've got to be careful. This is the man who wants to try and catch up with Hisada, and he did his best last time. Zamalola did a 35.915. Hisada a 35.901. So he's doing his best to keep up. But everyone keeps talking about the strength that Hisada's got, and he has proven it time and time again this season. This is the first time he's had to battle Samaloa, because remember, he's had to battle Partanen, he's had to battle other drivers. That's the first time he's had to go for it, and a man who usually is liking to battle whoever he can. So who's who he goes for every day. Every weekend, Jason Clapper's just not having his way at the moment, still stuck in 22nd.
And you can see Antonio Alvarez just ahead, trying to go and open up the gap a little bit more. Got a good exit, but unfortunately just seems to be battling when it comes to the sweeping corners. He's not getting as much grip as he would like, taking a little bit of a later apex, and that immediately had Jason Clapper looking for the inside, try and get the drive on him. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it sorted out. Going to be aiming for turn one as we jump on board, trying to mimic the lines as much as he can. Antonio just ahead, trying to catch up to Yanni just ahead of him, but unfortunately, it's not going to be an easy time. Jason biding his time, goes for the inside, and just couldn't get the nose in.
An interesting line, and Alvarez is taking through some of these corners. He's turning in late, he's late apexing some of these corners. That's a little bit of a confusion for Clapper. He wants to go in, he wants to hug those corners, he almost wants to double apex some of those corners, and he's just looking for that opportunity. The door keeps getting open, but he knows he doesn't want to force the issue if it's not there. And now he's got a good run as they come out of turn 5. Just can't do anything into Casanova. He's just going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait his time. Not the best thing to do from Casanova, because if you wait at Casanova, your girl, well, she's going to be gone from Casanova.
And it's very, very interesting. Alvarez not getting a good drive out, and now starting to battle. Lost a lot of time by not using all the circuit. He's caught behind the likes of Lehman just ahead, and Barry West, who was being a little bit of a concertina effect for all three, is checking out of this fight. So it's turning into a 3-car train with Jason Clapper not quite having the door open. Every time he tries to go for the inside, he's just not getting the drive to go and power out to the corners.
Clapper's got a really loose set, and there you see it. He's been getting on the throttle, and that rear been a little bit squirrely, and it's been really interesting seeing him fight the car a little bit, kind of like the old days that you'd see back in the 80s with these cars, trying to just hold on. And I feel that Alvarez has a good run here on that red car of Lehman, and this could be the moment he needs. Alvarez is going to go to the outside here to look for an overtaking opportunity. Remember, you're taking a different line through San Donatato, and he actually may get this stuck. He does. Best of the late breakers. It belongs to Alvarez. He holds on to that position. Great overtake around the outside. Just what he needed in the first quarter of the race.
Jason Clapper tried following through, but just wasn't close enough to capitalize. Now Lehman is going to keep in the tone, try and pull himself along, and Clapper needs to pull the trigger if he would like to get the climb out at the moment. Getting a little bit of a tank slapper, as we do see one of the cars rejoining, and that looks like it's Aaron Blair, who's gone off circuit, now rejoined in for the fight, having to scrub those tires clean.
Yeah, Aaron Blair decided that he would just pay a visit to the exit curve, the anti-cut curves, hit the sausage, and these cars don't really like going up in the air a little bit, and that's what happened to him. Oh, and a mistake there from Lehman. A mistake from Lehman allows Clapper to get through, just not having the best of time, getting on the throttle with these cars. And to be fair, you can't blame anybody. It's so tough to get on the throttle hard with these cars. Otherwise, you've got to be careful not to overheat the rears. over spin the rears, and then just let that car go sliding. And talk about sliding, there goes Clapper once again, not missing anything at the front, because this battle is very enticing as Aaron Blair is looking to make a recovery.
Posada getting the fastest lap time. Blair up on the inside of Lehman, trying to get the drive. Martini Racing trying to get a little bit of a run here for championship points. Just didn't have the gearing. And now it is all in the slipstream. Going to try go for the inside line. Going to get closed off as the likes of Lehman not going to back down from the fight. Going to hold the inside line in towards the apex. Perfect to line yourself up. Try and sweep across the nose as you come out. Don't let the likes of Blair on the inside. Unfortunately, he does. And now Blair side by side on the way through, and is very familiar to keep the power on the whole way across, scoring yet another position. And that is a big run for Blair, who's down 5 positions from where he started.
Tell you what, that was some real good racing through that little chicane here. This is Aaron Blair, what's causing to be in the back. There he goes, too much on the inside there on that corner. He just made that move at turn 3. Poggio Secco, as they call it on the turn names. And you can just see in that last time, just able to just open up the corner a little bit, over, under, and just make some moves. This is a nice little battle. 2 red cars just coming by in the Italian peninsula of Mugello, the Spanish peninsula of Mugello. You can see Fritz struggling today. It's not the best of days for going up. He's having to hold off Philip Kuhnhardt, losing a bit of time to the cars in front of Timothy Reed. And this over-under, that's actually really good from Kuhnhardt. There's no slipstream for Freacher. I feel this might be Kuhnhardt's position if he's able to do what we've just seen Aaron Blair do and go around the outside of turn 1.
For standings in the championship, Kuhnhardt is currently lying 4th in the championship, so he is right behind Fischer, who is currently behind him in the championship. He's 5th, so this is perfect for Kuhnhardt to score maximum points and try and keep ahead. So at this current point, they want to keep going. They want to fight it out all the way through. Jason Clapper trying to make his way around and keep onto the back of the cars. He is on a proper run.
Yeah, now he's onto the back of Barry Wett, the Nonagerian, the legend of the series, as he continues on. It's great to see Barry. He knows he loves it. He loves having a little battle, but this is the battle we've also got to keep our eyes on, because last lap, Zamaola, he managed to gain a 10th and a half on Toga Hisada. And as you saw on our timing towers, you saw that big purple text. He went fastest lap last time, but he's not having a good middle sector here. And that's where you really try to want to make all the time up in this track, because it's such a high flowing part of the track. Not able to do that, and now this is starting to just close up a little bit, but he's not close enough really to have a go and a look coming down into turn 1.
Aloha is really trying to mimic the lines absolutely perfectly. Doesn't want to lose that slipstream on the way through. And this is because of low aero that they're utilizing. They're relying on just the ducting underneath the car to stick him to the ground. But Hisada just trying to break that slipstream, stuck to the outside. Here comes Zamaloa on the inside, getting on the power. Bit of a tank slapper, sweeps across the nose. Do we have a change up for first place? Hisada says no thank you, not going to happen. He's going to fight it out right the way through. Unfortunately, was a little too far out on the outside.
Yeah, that was caused. Togo saw it in the rear mirror. He saw that Zamalola was going a bit too hot into the corner. He didn't want to turn in, otherwise it would have been danger for both of them. And they've gone side by side through 1, through 2, through 3, now 4, now 5. And can Zamalola hold on to this? He's losing a little bit of the balance. He cannot. But they were a second and a half ahead of everybody. And now, welcome to the Hisada train. Population 4, because Fitson and Chusak is right in the back of this conversation now. 4 cars now battling, and Hisada's got to feel he might want to start to pull that gap again.
Fitson is raring for a fight and to prove to be back at the front after last week's little debacle. He is now in for a proper one and waiting for just one of the cars to make a mistake so he can pounce. Nick Thyssen will constantly be on the back as Zamaloa is constantly being battered with that aero wash off the back of Hisada.
Yeah, I do wonder. Here we go. Yeah, the IndyCar weave here from Hisada. It's the Indy 500 week on iRacing, and you've got to feel that that is using a little bit of that expertise. Hizada tries to go for the inside line to defend this. We've seen drivers already try this around the outside today. Can Zamaola do it? He saw Hizada do it. Better of the late breakers. That belongs to Zamaola, but the inside line is the better line. And they're going to go side by side, but let's flip the script a little bit. This time it's Hizada around the outside. He'll try around the outside of Luco at 2. That gives him the inside of Pollo Secco at 3, but he cannot hold on to this. Fantastic driving here. I think, folks, we're in for another classic if these three keep on driving.
Nick getting in for the fight as well, as Togo's got to be very, very careful here. Nick on the inside trying to go for it. Unfortunately, just didn't have the run. And now we got Jazak going and closing up as well. So this is turning into a battle for second, third, and fourth, with Toga making small mistakes, touching the dirt, losing a little bit of traction, and now Nick coming back at him at a rate of knots.
Well, earlier in the race, people said that Hizada was Verstappening out there today, and it really did feel like he was taking charge of the race. And I do wonder if he's just overheated the tires just a little bit. Track temperature's gone down to 37 Celsius, 99 Fahrenheit. That's not a lot to make a big difference out there today, but the cloud cover has gone. There's not a lot of dark spots on the track anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do as the track starts to heat up. Hizada likes it loose on the setup. Maybe that's going to help him. Behind, though, 2 seconds behind Jack Davis Pickett, he's not getting involved. But you've got the feel with these four start battling, I think we may see more drivers get involved in this scrap.
Jazak going in for the fight. This one having to be very defensive, holding the inside line. This is going to be a proper battle down, and immediately a big defense from Nick to try and hold back Jazak as much as possible as we jump on board off the rear wing. These tires starting to creep up to 100 degrees plus at the moment as they slide their way through, trying to keep those turbos spooled up to continue on the drive, and that's always the most difficult. You don't want to gear down too much, lose all the traction, but you also don't want to be too low in the revs and not have enough power out of the corners.
So now the question for Sada is, has he got those tires cooled down a little bit? Because he's the car in the front of this little pack here. He can see that he's starting to lose time to Zamalola, but he also has to respect that he's on a bit of a battle here with Thyssen behind, and he's now starting to crank it up a gear. He's found that gear on the tires, on the bicycle. He's found it, and he's now starting to pull away. This battle's now going to be a two-car battle as Thyssen trying to hold on to Nikolai in this Ford-inspired livery. Ford is an old name for the F1, and it's good to see it once again. Good to see it back, but I don't think that's the type of car that Thyssen wants to see in his mirror. He doesn't want to see anyone in his mirror.
Well, that's it. Nick Thyssen going and finding out in the Pamelot colours, and that is also just a livery that everyone would know. But Ford Cosworth always sounds great, but Lotus 79 going at absolutely blistering speed, screaming its guts out here at Mugello is just one to be celebrating, as we do see the likes of Never trying to make up a bit of time as he's right behind Jack Spigot at the moment. Togo Sada putting in the fastest lap time at 1:34.9 this time around, with a little bit more of a full tank versus the usual quali that we saw a bit early on, putting in the fastest lap time of the race, and will now have to try and get past Zamaloa. But Never over here is in a proper fight. Jack just going slightly off the apexes.
Yeah, let's look at the GSRC replay. This was Carlos Peralta. Did see that Peralta had a moment to tow, catching a bit too much there in the 7-Up inspired Eddie Jordan-esque livery. Just catching too much there. The wing came off, not a lot they could do. Took a tow to the pit, and their day is done. Nieva's day is not done, though. He didn't have the best of finishes when it came to the Lotus 49s yesterday. He's not where he wants to be today in the 79s. However, still a lot of time left. Lap 11 of 26, of course. Jack Davis Pickett is a driver who likes to run an alternate setup, usually to the rest of the drivers. It's not working to keep up to the front. It's doing him well at the moment, just like Dylan Freckleton, whatever he's using, whatever he's had for breakfast, for lunch, and for what's going to be for dinner, I'd like to know. That's a great move on Khalil Kuja.
It's going to be a proper run. Dylan Freckleton needs to really figure out how he can keep Tommy behind him. And as they make their way through, seems like he's a bit more comfortable through the sweeps, going once again for more aero just to try and push him down to the ground. But when it comes down to the straightaways, Tommy has shown some great pace to try and keep in the slipstream.
Yeah, doing some really good pace up there to see what he can do. and now he's just having to hope that he's got the slipstream available. He really wants to try and hold on to another position. He will look, and you can see that he's looking. Not going to be able to get it this time by, and this over-under has been working a lot of the time. Remember, it's an uphill incline for that turn 1 at San Donato, and sometimes taking that outside line had proven to be better for some of these drivers today.
All about getting it on the brakes, but a championship fight as we go and flip Gernot onto the back of Gernot, trying to push as hard as they can. Once again, they're fighting for the top 5 of the championship, 4th and 5th, all on the line, both in a bit of Ferrari liveries to go and enjoy. But Philip Gernot feathering the throttle on the way through, just trying to utilize as much grip as possible. His tires are getting extremely warm. You've got to get your shifting absolutely perfectly. Philip Gernot just trying to keep away from the air wash as much as possible. You can see a bit of a tank slapper starting to come in for Gernot as he tries to push a little too hard. Runs out a bit wide, understeer coming in, feeding on the power, and immediately Philip right into the back of him.
Yeah, right onto the back end. If there was a longer straight there, I think Kunhardt would have made the overtake there for a moment on Frisha. Not this time, maybe next time, because there's no help there. You see Connor Levy, I know we've seen some Levy fans in the chat today looking at that top 10, losing 3 positions at the start of the race, but he keeps on going. That battle at the top, you see it on the timing tower. Hisada keeps on going faster. We'll get there later because this could be a move for Kunhardt. He might be able to look to try and go around the outside. I just don't know. Maybe he can't. He has to just hold off. And an interesting moment just in the chat. Jack David Spickett's just accepted he might be getting a disqualification. Sounds like Jack's being a bit too liberal with the off-tracks. Maybe these guys don't need to be battling too hard. They'll just get a free spot if Jack David Spickett is forced to take a drive-through penalty.
Well, that is going to be a blow of note for Gernot at the moment. He is trying to keep up the pace. Remember, he's also second in the team championship, so any dropping down, he will be in sight for the TVR Racing team. Plus, he will also lose out of position in the championship overall as a driver. Barry West having a good look to try and get by. And as we jump aboard, utilizing VR, trying to be as immersed as possible. I've got to say, absolutely love it. And with that H pattern through the gears, Barry properly fighting it out.
I love as well that unlike some of the other VR users that come onto come onto a broadcast and show off their setup, usually you can't see what they're seeing. And his TV, his PC monitor's right there, so we get to see what he sees. And you start to see how he cranks the head to look to the left and look to the right. It's a fantastic experience. One day, I keep telling myself, I will give that experience a go. Today is not that day. This month is not this month. But at the moment, Barry West still looking for more time on Blair. He started 19th. He's still 19th. That position doesn't matter to Barry. He's just happy enough that he's in the middle of a fantastic little fight.
Well, I'll talk about having the best seat in the house and virtually getting the best seat in the house in the top split here in the low 79s. But it is still the Classic Lotus Grand Prix. It's round 9 of 12. And Barry West needs to score as many points as possible to launch his way up into the championship.
Yeah, he wants to do it. Josh Brain as well, just having a little bit of a moment out there as Daniel Gallas holds on to that P15. And you start to see that they are battling, and battle they keep on as Josh Brain still looks at the opportunity. Once you get out of turn 2 and turn 3, and you come down to 4 and 5 here, not a lot of chances to make some overtake. This is your first opportunity after the start-finish straight, down before Casanova at 6 and Savelli here at 7. Still not a lot of time. And one thing I keep looking at, I keep telling people, keep your eye on the timing tower. You may see something. Look at that gap now between Hisada and Thyssen. All of a sudden, the moment he realized he was in struggle, he was able to pull ahead of everybody. And now it's just a two-man fight at the front, just like it's a two-man fight right now, as Kunhardt continues to look for a way around Gernot Frisha.
Take a very tight line on the way through and utilizing as much of the curb as possible on the right-hander. But you can see not wanting to push the car too hard at the moment, trying to keep the tires alive for just a little bit longer. 26 laps is a long time in these cars. To keep it consistent, the last thing you want to do is have the tires going off a cliff on you, and you're not going to be able to take the fight. And considering Connor Levy is catching up at a rate of knots behind him, they're in for a proper fight.
I'm starting to wonder if Kunhardt here has got a little bit more aero here, a little bit more wing, because he's really quick here and catching up in the tighter stuff that we were talking about, the second half of the track. But on that straight, he's not catching a lot. And I'm starting to wonder, maybe he is just taking a bit too much downforce. We know who doesn't have a lot of downforce. We know that Hissada loves to slide this car out a little bit. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Comes around once again through our Ariada 1 and 2, down into turn 10 and 11. It feels like you've got 4 chicanes on this track. He's trying to utilize them more, and after he won at a 4 chicane track last week at Gilles Villeneuve, you might think he's a little bit at home here at Mugello, but he is struggling today.
Losing a lot of time to Zamaloa, who is starting to open up that gap more and more, lap after lap. Looking at their last lap times, we already had Zamaloa with a 134.98, while Hissada managed to do a 134.95, trying to pick up the pace, and they're the only two at the moment that have been running in the 34s. Everyone else has been down in the 35s.
Yeah, they have been absolutely on it today with their times. And I tell you what, it is interesting. I've looked at the stat sheet that we've got, maybe looking at an old one, but I'm pretty sure I got this right. Zamaloa has never won a Lotus 79 broadcast race. He's only done 8 races, 10 races, I think. From what my stats say, it's one of those 2 numbers. And he's never had a victory, according to our spreadsheet. This could be a sizable victory. And how cruel it would be for Hissada when he finally gets a winning streak and he's no longer the bridesmaid. Out of nowhere, he's back being P2. But even still, a series, a season where all he's had is P1s and P2s, you can't complain. But he wants one number. He wants that number 1.
Well, Zamaloa has only done 3 of the races out of 9 heading into this, so he is properly going and battling out. So this would make it race 4, and a win would be absolutely fantastic. As you see, Jasak onto the back of Thyssen, now trying to make up some time. Late braking, trying everything he can. Thyssen getting an easier drive out, lots of grip underneath him. Track getting a little bit dirty on the exits though, and that's where you got to be so careful. And Thyssen losing out under braking. Take a look at Jasak on the power early on, through the sweep, side by side they go. Thyssen just managing to hold on.
Beyond Yeti is such a tight track corner there. You can't really go side by side there, but he's been able to get that inside. And there is overlap here as they come down into turn 15 into the Bucine curve, but he cannot hold on to that despite he had the inside. And now you see Thyssen, he goes for that defense. He does that weave. Zamaloa goes fastest once again. Hissada keeps trying to catch him, but this is for the final spot on the podium. And Mikolai will going to have to go. He sells the dummy. Is he going to be the best of the late breakers? He is indeed. Can he slow this down? He absolutely slows it down. And by accident, he cuts off the line of Thyssen. He will go back up to P3. And a good little duel that was. It is still going though.
Oh, Thyssen had to think quick on his feet. It was so close of having his front wing crunched. But now Jasak needs to get the power on and get away. Thyssen tried getting underneath him, and just see how close he's keeping it. It's going to be lost to the late breakers again. I can see it. And now Jasak has to watch those mirrors like an absolute hawk as Thyssen wants that P3 back.
He hit the curb. Thyssen hit the curb there, and he's lost a lot of time. And now that's going to cost him probably a couple tenths, but he just has to just hold on there, and there he goes. That's all the time he could do. He's back on the car and able to just keep on fighting. And what can he do? I'll tell you what, the leaders, they'll be coming down that start-finish straight in a moment. What was interesting is it does say Zamaloa did set the fastest lap time. Hissada was fastest. However, it does not count. He had an off-track last lap. He's making sure he doesn't do a lot of those today. That's what he's trying to aim for, to try and catch up. Thyssen, though, he's going to try and do this one more time. He's done this once before. Surely he can do it twice. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, shame on me, says Mikolai in the front of that Lotus 79.
And Zamaloa doing the fastest lap time yet again, 1:34.5, as he tries to open up the gap to Hissada. Nick Thyssen looking for the inside, look back to the outside on the power, trying to really feed the power through to try and get past, but just not having enough on the exits.
Yeah, he's not got enough on the exits, and we start to wonder if that a downforce issue, can't get on at the pace, and that might be the small issue out there. could be it, but notice, where's the sun gone? The clouds have come out. The sun has not got its hat on. The sun's taken the hat off, and this is now where speed starts to work for these drivers. And maybe Thyssen can look for a chance in those corners to just get a little bit later on the brakes, start to go faster, and he's struggling. He avoids that curve this time. That curve is quite lethal in these cars. He clipped too much of it, and you saw he lost a couple tenths. A couple tenths can cost you almost being right on the back of your car in front.
And dropping a wheel off circuit constantly, picking up those X's. Remember, they're only allowed to get up to 17 before you get that drive through, 25 for disqualification. I think Nick Thyssen is getting closer and closer to that and will be starting to worry about it. Might actually come a little bit off the throttle to just try and protect himself, and that's going to open up for Jack Spiggott, who is right behind.
Yeah, got to be careful, Jack Spiggott. Still 2 seconds behind. Once these guys start fighting and maybe catch up again. These two fought about 5-10 laps ago, and they realized it did hurt at them, so they decided not to do it. Hissada a 34.648, Zamaola a 34.638. You cannot separate them. Hissada cannot even find a way close. This is different. When he battles Partanen, he can find opportunity to get around. This today is not working for him, and that is just a sign of a car who has got the number 2 on his badge. If you don't know, it's the car numbers done by your iRating in the split. That means Zamaola, he's got the second highest iRating, and right now he's proving why he's the second highest rated driver in the split.
7,000 iRating is nothing to go and sneeze about. Jason Clapper, however, in the 15th position, trying to make up a bit of time. He's got Daniel Gullis on the back of him, and Daniel is not hanging around, trying everything he can in the Lotus Player Special while chasing down the Marlboro colors of Jason Clapper, who just is pushing that a little bit too hard into the fringes of the circuit and may cost him a bit of time as he tries to get the car going, really bottoming out. Tells me the ride height has been lowered quite a bit.
Yeah, really starting to use on that ride height, starting to push as much as he can. This is Gallus, who actually lost the position to Callis at the start of the lap. And this is just Clapper going up another spot. If you're playing your little sweepstake, Clapper's plus 10 for the day. He likes doing this, but 4 seconds ahead of him is where he wants to try and go. It's going to be tough for him, and it is still tough for Nick Thyssen to try and get by. I'm seeing everybody going purple in their pace laps at the moment. Zamaola took a really good lap, but it was not quicker. But he is starting to push. Hissada's starting to push. Thyssen starting to push. What has he got against Mikolai? Is he going to try and make a dummy? He's going to try and do this? No, he holds off once again. And this is a battle of chess. Just 7 to go. That's an opportunity to make an overtake. But if he knows Mikolai has got the pace to overtake him, why do it now? It looks like he's playing that waiting game.
He's just trying to push his nose on the inside constantly as Tyler Lane going around the outside gets the pass on Connor Levy. Beautifully done. Puts the power down. And for the Olympus team going and absolutely starting to open up the gap. Tyler Lane up into that top 10. Will be smiling, but Connor will be coming back at him, and Dylan Finkelton is also getting a bit closer in for the fight as they drop a wheel over, and the TVR colors are looming in the background for Connor.
You just saw that purple car coming over the crest of the hill, and you start to think it's like Jaws, because all of a sudden that noise that I can't say for copyright reasons, it's coming closer, and Dylan Freckleton is looking for some position. But what a drive from Taylor Lane. 3 places today for the driver, working really well up there today. He's now got to try and hold off 2 really strong drivers, Connor Levy and Dylan Freckleton. That top 10 would be oh so sweet for him if he could just hold on. 3 seconds up the road is Philip Kuhnhardt. Don't think he'll be able to catch up to them, but he would love it if he could, because he really needs that help out there today. And look who just went fastest. It's Togo Hissada.
Absolutely amazing, setting a 134.37 while likes of Zamaloa doing a 134.39. That tells you how close they are in pace with one another and ensuring that it can take it to the top end of the fight. But 6 laps to go. Who's got enough in the tank to push on? Timothy Reed, however, is in a fight, getting a little bit unsteady as he tries to bring himself back and duke it out yet again.
Yeah, Jorge Nieva will know this track pretty well. It's a local track in Europe. Trying to fight on and knows how to get this car to keep it on defense there. Timothy Reed trying to go around the outside. did not work for Timothy, and now he's on that defense, kicks up some of the dust. He comes out of turn 5, down into Casanova he goes. Still trying to work it out. The dirty air washing around, really starting to force the car do things it does not want to do as he just tries to utilize that downforce. Comes up through once again, through 8 and 9, but losing time once again. Dirty air, that wash starting to affect him. And even still, when you look at that wind, it is still southwest. It is still coming from the south, and it is getting harder today.
And take a look just in shot as well. We have Gurnon starting to put his nose in, catching up to the two that were fighting it out. And we may see Timothy Reed going and switching his focus from ahead of him to behind him as Gurnon running a little bit quicker every single lap.
Single lap they keep on going, and look who just went faster last time by. Namahola did a 34.1, Posada did a 34.2. We're watching these guys. Timothy Reed looking to try and make a move wherever he can. Not sure he's going to be able to do it against Nieva this time by, but you see Frisha just in the background. There he is. And just starting to now see if these two keep on battling. I tell you what, maybe, just maybe, we'll start to see another fight, because they're even now trying to catch on to the back of Jack David Spickett, and that's tough as well. All these battles that have spread out with 5 to go, it looks like they're all coming back together again.
It's going to be the last of the late breakers. Who's got enough in the tank and who has got enough to push through to the end? For Osada, it is an annoyance at this point. Zamaloa starting to open up the distance more and more as he tries to take a little bit more corners and runs out a bit wide, picking up a bit of dust on the right front every step of the way, just not having an answer for Zamaloa ahead of him.
Yeah, no answer, and I wonder if it is just the fact that unable to really find the opportunity to make an overtake around here. It is such a tough track to make those overtakes. We talk about the high, fast flowing sections here, a track that drivers love, and you've got to feel that this is the track that these Lotus 79 drivers have enjoyed this week here as they finish the week up. Well, they'll finish it tomorrow, but this is the big end for them today. Have any of these 3 drivers gone purple this time by? I'm keeping a look. Oh, they have. Namahola, he went fastest with a 34.239. It started with a 34.114. It was an off track though. It doesn't count for those stats of fastest lap. It's interesting. I keep mentioning this because the fastest lap does give 2 points to the champion, to the driver in the championship. Those 2 points probably can make a big difference at the end of the season.
We've seen it last season where it came to a close finish in terms of the fastest lap being the split. But Zamaloa having to really put the hammer down. It also makes me wonder how much X's has Hasada picked up during the course of this race. Has he been a little bit too liberal with the off tracks, or is he now just waiting for the perfect opportunity, a little bit wide on the exit and just trying to fight the car back, feathering the throttle the whole way through, late on the anchors, just trying to figure out where can he get the drive, where's the grip, has the tires gone and cooked?
You know, I don't think they have yet. The track's getting colder once again. 32 Celsius now, 89 Fahrenheit. The track will start to get faster, the tanks are getting lighter, and that just means you're going to start to see the speed really kick in now as they start to head down. It will be free to go when they come around boosting down to the start-finish straight. Who gets a good line here? A little bit of a slide just at the end there after the apex. For Hisada, not going to affect him too much. 18 seconds up the road is lap traffic. We can cross that out. It's not going to be a factor today. This is going to be crucial. He needs to be closer. He needs to fight with the dirty air today. Look how close Hisada goes. He takes that fastest lap. One of these drivers is going to break into the 33s very shortly, and it may be the man right here in Togo Hisada.
Utilizing that slipstream is definitely helping, but how long can he hang into the back of Zamaloa before they get to the end of this race? For Zamaloa, he's now starting to watch the mirrors, starting to identify where Hisada can go on the attack. Where does he need to defend? How hard does he need to push as he gets on the power, really struggling to keep the car in check as they slide their way through, going up through the gears, and gotta say, utilizing an H pattern is so much more fun when you heel toe and you're in a tank slapper of a slide.
Yeah, you've got to be circling your belly and patting your head at the same time when you go for an H pattern, and we keep talking about it. Togo Husada was branded the fastest driver with an H pattern or in H pattern racing on iRacing from Pauli Partonen. Still battles elsewhere as they start to go on by. We're looking at Mark Anthony Vervault as he continues on to try and battle Tommy Kalio Kuala. Can he hold on to it? I do see a driver with a black flag, Dylan Freckleton, having to serve a slowdown up ahead. May get dragged into this battle later. Could be an interesting thing, but this is for 13th position. Freisha, this isn't for 13th position. This is for near the front of the field. Freisha gets it done on Timothy Reed in an obscure location. He gets it at turn 12, a Corantino.
Timothy Reed just didn't have much to answer there as he tries to keep the power on. 2 laps to go, however. He's got 1 shot to get the climb for Gernot. This is fantastic for the championship in both the team championship and the driver championship. However, will be trying to do everything he can to reclaim that position, try and work his way up. For Freisha, this is 4 positions up from where he started. Timothy Reed exactly back to where he started.
Yeah, exactly where he started. He needs that as well. And I think Zamalola might be starting to put on the afterburners. He's really starting to get some fast times out there, but he can't hold on to it. We're keeping eyes on this though with Timothy Reed, trying to find a way to just keep it with Freisha. Going up Freisha, sorry, Huygen Eva was what I was trying to get my words out for. He's just ahead of him as well. It's a 3-car battle. Back with the leaders because there are a lap and a half to go. And where can Husada go? He slides it and catches the slide. He's going to lose some time. There's going to be heat in those tires. He's going to have to cool it down. He doesn't have time to cool it though.
You can see the rear stepping out constantly, trying to demand as much grip as possible. And considering the new debris that has been brought to iRacing does make it a little bit more difficult. Takes about a corner or 2 to go and sweep those tires clean and get back onto the power. Onto the last lap though, it's all or nothing. Husada needs to put pride in the pocket and go for the big sends here on Zamaloa. Otherwise, it is game over for the champion, well, heading out for first place here at Mugello.
Could really use the victory here. Those extra 5-10 points could really help him. I don't know if he's got the fastest lap still banked. I think Zamaloa's taken that, but he has to find half a second. How do you find half a second in a lap? You've only got 94 seconds to find half a second, and this is not going his way. He's starting to really push this car harder. He's really now, that rear is starting to kick out a little bit. He's still looking. He's caught up very closely. Takes some more track, more liberties with the track as he comes on by. Down into 6 and 7 they go. He's starting to close up. He's starting to narrow up the corners, and he is still finding it, but he's only found 2/10. And he doesn't have the straight to work with this time. He's only got half that straight to work with for a slipstream. He has to get closer, and he's losing time as they come into 10 and 11. Where is he looking for this time? He can't go hard on the brake to try and catch up here. He'll overheat the tires, and he'll lose the exit on these chicanes. What can he do? 3 seconds up the road as lap traffic should not be a factor, as I was mentioning. Zamalola's still got 6 tenths there, and Husada goes slow on the exit there at Corantino. Through they go to be on the Eti. One last time. There is now a second between the two of them, and this is just one mistake there for Zamalola. I don't think he's going to make it. Cool, calm, collected. Once he got that lead, he never lost it, and Zamalola gets welcomed to winner's circle for the first time in the Lotus 79. He takes victory here at Mugello over Togo Husada.
What a race of note. Togo Husada does keep the fastest lap time of the race with 1:34.03, but is earning the respect of Zamaloa and will be wondering what he can do. Gernot trying to get a little bit more of a driver. Unfortunately, straight line didn't quite work out this time, and he'll have to be content with that 7th place. Dylan Fickleton trying to also get as much of a tow as possible, and will have to be content with 12th as he comes across.
Have to be content with that. And can Tommy try and make an overtake here? He can't. And it just goes to show that everybody just didn't have that pace at the end there to make those runners. We keep watching everyone come back to the track. There is a little battle right at the end of the track. The 3 cars, Barry West, Antonio Alvarez and Jan Lindman. Can they do anything as you start to see them coming down the track? They won't. Barry West will hold on to that P19 that he started in, but he had to work for it. Alvarez and Lehman came on by, and this now, that should be all she wrote. Just 3 more cars left to go. Cochran and Spice still in a little battle.
Absolutely phenomenal racing, and this is what we've learned at Mugello. You can have some of the best racers to go through. Matthew Cockram up on the inside, trying to get as much drive as possible and kill out of the cars behind him, and he really needs to try and keep it as fast as possible in towards the checkered flag, and only just able to hold on to that 22nd position.
He gets that 22nd, though. He managed to hold on, and that will be all she wrote today for all the 26 drivers. So let's go through those results. And it's Zamaola, who for the first time on broadcast for the 79s on a Sunday, he takes the victory with Togo Hisada behind him. And it was a close battle between those two cars at the end of the day. Nikolai Jusiak will be third, and Nick Fisson will take fourth, and then Jack David Spickett will be fifth. And Hugo Nieva will take sixth. Gunnar Friescher goes up 4 places into 7th with Timothy Reed in 8th. And then it's Philip Kuhnhart in 9th, Taylor Lane in 10th. And the second page, we'll head to Stephen.
Connor Levy going down 4 places from where he started, finishing up in 11th place. Dylan Fickleton in 12th, followed by Mark and Tony Tolbolt in 13th. 14th is Tommy Kulia, along with Jason Clapper, who went up 10 places off the start. Daniel Gallus in 16th. 17th is Josh Brain, along with Aaron Blair in 18th. 19th is Barry West, with Antonio Alvarez in 20th.
And then just the last drivers. We only had one retiree today, so that means that Yanni Lehman will finish in 21st. Matthew Cockham will be 22nd. And Ellis Spicer in 23rd. Emilio ACO will take 24th. And then it was not a good start for Kel Anja Svensson, who had a connection drop to start the race, finishes in 25th. Carlos Peralta, we did see, unfortunately, retired after that incident, will finish last in 26th. Unfortunate what happened there, but what a race that was, Stephen. It just goes to show that this track is fantastic, but it did feel like the dirty air really caused a lot of issues for those drivers today.
It was an absolutely mental one, and I just want to say, let's run it back. Let's do it again. Let's have some more fun. I mean, the Lotus 79s really put on a great show for the Sunday Grand Prix, and especially for round 9. As we get closer and closer to the end, everyone is pushing that little bit harder, and it was evident here tonight for the top battles. And I gotta say, it doesn't matter where you look in the field, it is just nose to tail right the way through.
Well, we'll have a quick look at some of these highlights at the start there. I just love that you can just see Dylan Freckleton in that electric purple car there. Really hot handing on, and a really good start from everybody. And this was the start of the race that we thought maybe his starter's got this. Maybe he just goes ahead, set a really good time, and set some really good pace out there today. Was unable to do a lot once he lost the position. But from here, everybody just thought it was like a Max Verstappen show. Took a real good launch and was almost going to go ahead. And just look at some of the starts there. Some unfortunate starts for some drivers there.
Got to be able to handle the clutch control. That's the main thing about these cars. Bring the revs up, get yourself going, and don't let it bog down. 3 wide into the first corner, as there's plenty of space, as all Lotus 79s kept it going right the way through, and having to deal with cold tires as they push on.
Yeah, as he pushed it on. I know you were saying, let's run this back. These guys have already done a race earlier today. They did the last time slot as a warm-up, so let's not run it back 3 times, because I know Togo was asked that earlier in the season, and he said, I can't, I'm an old man. Remember, he's not an old man, but remember, he is from Japan, and the time zones are not very favorable in Japan at the moment. There was that one incident we saw, the one retiree today, well, one of the retirees, sorry, that was the number 18, Aaron Blair. He had that spin, managed just to recover, though. Good recovery. He was only -2 for the day, still finishing 18th, but it could have been a lot worse for him, and this was when the battle started to kick in.
For first place, and it was side by side, 2, 3, heading into 4, going towards 5. These two cars had a great duke out, but also Nick Thisson then started getting into the fight as well, trying to put a little bit more pace underneath him. Fortunately, dropping off in the later part of the races, but early stages, Nick got the best run. Unfortunately, there's the 18 spin into the wall, and going and taking a little bit of liberties to come back on track right before the entire field comes through.
Well, we did see what happened there with some of the battling with Togo Hisada. And I do think that we may be able to get Togo Hisada very shortly for an interview. And we do have Togo right now, so watching more of the highlights. And Togo, that looked unfortunate there. For a moment, it looked like you were going to be dominant. But once Zamalola got by, it looked like you were struggling in the dirty air.
Yeah, I know I not say that the Oya has a pace. It's on another level. I realized it in weekday practice. And I hear about the Pauli going to miss this week, so it's gonna be one battle with Oya. And I prepared everything, but let's face it, it's a little bit. Oya is better. Oya was better than me, so first, fortunately, I took the pole position, so I tried to defend the position. I don't want to follow him because he's faster than me, so I try to defend as I can, as possible, as good as I could. But he passed me, and then barely struggled to keep it going.
Struggled to keep it going and try to hold on there. I will say, was it a little bit of relief that Pauli wasn't here this week, because every race he's beaten you off the line. You didn't have that pressure today.
Yeah, but if I crash this week, or if I took a third place or fourth place, it's gonna be very my confidence damage is so big. So without him, but pressure is high.
Pressure is always high here at the front of the 79. So it goes from this fantastic track. We are at Virginia International Raceway next week, VIR. It's a smaller track. What are you expecting in these cars? Because this is probably the fastest car you have driven around that track.
Yeah, and the track is very narrow. So qualifying is really important. And the race is it's very tough to follow the other guys. So just practice for the qualifying under the start launch. It's bigger part of that of the race.
Will all come down to who gets out to the first corner the fastest. Togo, it's great to hear from you once again. We will let you have your shout outs if there's anyone you would like to say hello to.
Global Simulation Channel broadcasting team, thank you so much, and the Lotus 79 communities.
Well, as I always like to say, the arigatou gozaimasu to you, Toga Hisada. We will let you go get some sleep and get ready for the morning, but thank you once again for coming in. That's Togo Hisada finishing in P2 today. I'm just looking, I think it's only fair. We caught the man having a lot of battles out there today. Steven is side by side with the man known as Barry West.
Barry, what a race out there. You got a good start off the line, charged your way through a good number of battles. How was the start for you, getting all revved up and trying to launch into that turn one?
Well, actually, I didn't have a very good start. I got a bit of wheel spin, and I thought I was going to get swallowed up. But I thought I'll go around the outside, because then you got the inside for turn two, and it paid off. But yeah, I had some great battles with Aaron Blair. We had a good little tussle. But the trouble was, I knew he was quicker than me, and I thought I couldn't hold him off for that many laps. So I was going to lose time to Antonio, who was catching up. So it was like a bit of a balance. What do I do? Do I have fun, or do I try for a finish? And Antonio was all over the back of me the last few laps, but managed to hold him off. So yeah, that was good fun. And earlier on, actually, it was Josh Brain, wasn't it? And Daniel. That was good fun. But of course, once Jason got past, that was it really. But I'm glad I got top 20 finish. That's good. Yeah.
And being one of the very few drivers going and racing in the top split in VR, just tell the audience, how is it? I mean, it's so immersive, but also, what does it do as a driver to suddenly be in the car and duking it out side by side in these open wheels?
Yeah. I don't use any rear view mirrors, so I have to use my own normal mirrors and look as far as I can right and left. It makes it a bit awkward, and more with the shifter. I think I don't speed shift. I mean, a lot of people can just push a button and change his gear. I think that gives you a few tenths a lap, I think. But yeah, I just like the immersiveness and the fun, so that's why I use the VR and try and keep things as realistic as possible. But when you see people like going off a track and getting away with it. And one race in the week, I think somebody touched my side pod, which actually took my back wheel, bent it. Their side pod came off and then magically flew back on, and they carried on and finished 8th, and I had to go and pit and finish 20th. So yeah, there's a few things like that, but that's just the vagaries of the internet, I suppose. You have to put up with it. But yeah, with all the new drivers coming now, though, it's I used to be top 12, top 10 if I was lucky, but now I'm just lucky to get top 20. Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, since we got you here, anyone you want to have a shout out to here in the GSRC and with iRacing?
Well, I'd like to give Josh a shout, Aaron and Antonio, for having such a good race and so much fun. And I can go and have a cold bath now. And obviously for you guys and my dear wife who wants to let me do it.
Absolutely fantastic. Nothing more important than family. Barry, thank you very much, and well done once again. Racing in VR, I salute you on that one.
Cheers.
Yeah, Barry West there, always good to see. One of the oldest drivers on the sim, and you can see it does not matter what your age is. It does not matter what you run with. It is fantastic to see the people of all ages and all skills coming around, having some fantastic battles. But as we mentioned, next week, Virginia International Raceway. And if you have loved what you've seen today, remember, this is a free track. All you need is the car, and you've got the track already, and you've got this fantastic track from Virginia, a legendary track on the sim and a legendary track in America. It will be fantastic in these old school machines. So that is going to be one to watch out for next week. Same time, 16:30 GMT/UTC. I remember in English I use GMT, I do apologize. But it's going to be the same time, same day, and you do not want to miss another race. And if you've liked what you see, please give a like and subscribe to your iRacing pages, because you never want to miss not just this, but every other race in the week, including all the esports races that iRacing provide. Once again, though, Toga Hisada, he's back as the bridesmaid. But the key thing, for the first time this season, there's a new name at the top of the championship, and it's Togo Hisada. What will happen next week when we get to VIR? Well, we'll find out, because it's time to say goodbye to the weekend. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.